First-class cabins are meant to symbolize luxury and respect. Still, for two young black girls, it became a stage for humiliation. They walked in with broad smiles, unaware of the whispers, the rolling eyes, and the cruel laughter waiting for them. Passengers questioned their presence, attendants doubted their seats, and strangers mocked as if their very existence in that space was a mistake. But what no one realized was that these girls weren't alone. One influential figure sat silently nearby, waiting. And when he stood, everything changed. Watch until the end. Wait a second. Tell us where you're watching from in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe for more powerful stories like this. The journey began like any other. Two sisters, dressed in neat travel outfits, clutched their boarding passes tightly as they followed the attendant into the first-class cabin. For them, it was more than a flight. It was a chance to see their father after months apart, finally. Their mother had promised this trip would be memorable, and the girls could hardly contain their excitement. They slid into their seats, eyes lighting up at the blankets, the menus, and the glowing screens before them. To them, it felt like stepping into a dream. But to some of the other passengers, their joy wasn't welcome. The girls didn't notice the cold stares at first, or the subtle shakes of disapproving heads. They were just children, innocent and thrilled about a simple journey. Yet beneath the soft lighting and quiet hum of the aircraft, tension was building, ready to expose the ugly truth about prejudice. It started with whispers. A couple across the aisle exchanged smirks, one muttering, "First class? Really?" Behind them, a man sighed loudly, pretending to be inconvenienced by their presence. Soon, a flight attendant leaned over with a practiced smile, asking if they were sure these were their seats. The girls nodded timidly, holding up their tickets, but the scrutiny only deepened. Another passenger chuckled, remarking about kids playing pretend, loud enough for half the cabin to hear. The laughter spread like wildfire. The girls shifted uncomfortably in their oversized seats, their earlier excitement shrinking into embarrassment. They tugged at their sleeves, lowering their voices, wishing they could disappear. The mockery grew sharper. A woman snapped that some people don't belong in first class, while another suggested they were lost. Every word pierced the fragile bubble of their innocence. The attendant hesitated, lingering as if she might move them elsewhere. Still, one man, silent, composed, overseen. He had boarded quietly, dressed in an unassuming suit, seated a few rows away. No one had connected him to the girls. They thought the children were alone, easy targets for ridicule. The cabin, filled with quiet cruelty, had no idea they were being watched by someone who held more power than they could imagine. The stage was set for a reckoning none of them would ever forget. The tension snapped in an instant. As the flight attendant leaned down once more, ticket in hand, preparing to suggest the girls move to economy, a deep voice cut through the cabin. Chairs turned. A man rose from his seat, tall and commanding, his presence impossible to ignore. The laughter evaporated. Every eye locked on him as he calmly walked to the front. He rested a hand on the girl's shoulders, his gaze sweeping across the room. The whispers stopped cold when someone recognized his face. The CEO, the man whose company's name was stitched onto the very aircraft they sat in, stood beside his daughters. Silence filled the air. The mockery had turned to dread. Every smirk faded, replaced by shock. The powerful truth had finally been revealed. No one dared speak now. The same passengers who mocked the girls shrank back in their seats, their arrogance dissolving under the weight of realization. The father said little. He didn't need to. His mere presence was enough to flip the balance of power in the room. The girls straightened, their embarrassment melting into pride as they realized they had nothing to prove. The shame no longer belonged to them. It belonged to those who had judged them. By the time the plane touched down, the cabin was a graveyard of guilt. But for millions of children facing prejudice every day, there is not always an influential figure to step in. So, the question remains, how many more will have to endure this before the world finally changes? Tell us, where are you watching from? Take care.